cameras were already rolling, a director was already hired, and then Jim Carrey had him fired and handed the job to his own co-writer, who had never directed a feature film in his life. That is how this movie got made. The co-star effectively paid out of pocket to appear in it because the star's illness was classified as an act of God. The Chitty Chitty Bang Bang scene happened because Carrey forgot his lines. Jim Carrey turned down a future Oscar-winning director and called it one of the biggest regrets of his career. And the unknown actress the studio didn't want cast, as the princess would go on to receive an Academy Award nomination. 20 facts about Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Let's get into it. Like and subscribe before we start. Now let's go.
That ought to hold you for a while.
Number 20. Filming had already started with Tom DeSergio, who would later direct Celtic Pride in the director's chair. Because the first Ace Ventura had been a massive hit, Morgan Creek gave Carrey an unusual level of control over the sequel. In April 1995, with cameras rolling and the production underway, Carrey had DeSergio removed. He replaced him with Steve Oedekerk, his close friend, the film's co-writer, and a man who had never directed a theatrical feature in his life. Carrey wanted someone who would let him improvise freely, rewrite scenes on the fly, and essentially run the set the way he wanted to run it. Oedekerk, who had consulted on the first film, was exactly that person. The trade-off is visible in every frame of the finished movie. It's looser, more chaotic, more anything goes than the original, with fewer structural guardrails, and more Carrey just doing whatever came to him in the moment. Whether that's a strength or a weakness depends entirely on how you feel about the result.
Flowers for me. I do declare, Mr. Beauregard.
Number 19. Before Oedekerk was hired and before DeSergio was fired, there was another candidate. Spike Jonze wanted to direct this film. Carrey passed partly because Jonze was also untested at feature length, and partly because Carrey simply didn't know him well enough to hand him a sequel to one of the biggest comedies of the year. Jonze was not yet Jonze in the way the world would come to know him. Within a few years, Spike Jonze had directed Being John Malkovich, then Adaptation, then Her, earning an Academy Award for the latter. Carrey has since said turning him down is one of the biggest regrets of his professional life. There is a version of Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls out there in a parallel universe, directed by a future Oscar winner with a genuinely unusual visual imagination, and we will never see it. Carrey handed the job to his best friend instead, and spent years thinking about what he walked away from.
Mr. Ventura, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of nature. You should try it sometime.
Alrighty then.
Number 18. The director's search before DeSergio was hired was an extended game of no thank yous. Tom Shadyac, who had directed the original Ace Ventura and was the logical first call, had zero interest in coming back. The Farrelly brothers Peter and Bobby, who had just directed Carrey in Dumb and Dumber and looked like an obvious fit on paper, were offered the sequel and passed. Then, Spike Jonze expressed interest and was turned down by Carrey himself. Only after that entire gauntlet, the original director declining, the perfect follow-up directors declining, the interesting choice being rejected, did the job land with a first-time feature director, chosen primarily because the star liked him. For a sequel to one of the most profitable comedies of the year, the universal reaction from qualified directors was apparently to find something else to do.
Well, perhaps this will assist your decision.
Number 17. Supermodel Georgiana Robertson was originally cast as the Wachati Princess. Premiere Magazine reported in July 1995 that she was cut loose quickly. She reportedly never made it to rehearsals and couldn't get the lines right. The role needed to be filled. The production brought in a then unknown actress named Sophie Okonedo. The studio was not enthusiastic about the replacement. They wanted a name with existing recognition, and Okonedo had neither. Oedekerk and Carrey were sufficiently impressed by her reading of the part that they insisted she be cast over the studio's preference. This turned out to be one of the better decisions anyone made on the production. More on that at the end of the countdown.
They are a sanctuary for the reproductive organs, a temple to house the miracle of procreation. Do you have $1?
Number 16. Bob Gunton plays Burton Quinn, the Safari Club owner whose smugness radiates off every scene he appears in. That controlled contempt, that precise delivery of authority corrupted by entitlement, it was familiar to anyone who had been to the cinema in 1994. Gunton had played Warden Samuel Norton in The Shawshank Redemption the year before. The same tight, self-satisfied menace, that made him one of the most hateable authority figures in modern film history, was deployed the following year in safari khakis opposite Jim Carrey. The register is identical. The context is wildly different. Gunton has spent decades playing exactly this kind of man, precise, controlled, convinced of his own rightness, in projects ranging from genuinely serious to completely ridiculous. The fact that his two most recognizable performances from consecutive years are The Shawshank Redemption and Ace Ventura. When Nature Calls says something interesting about the range available to a character actor who plays authority well enough. Number 15. The film was budgeted at approximately $30 million. Carrey's salary was somewhere between 10 and 15 million. Sources disagree on the exact figure, but the range places him at between a third and half of the total production cost. For a single actor's performance fee on a studio comedy, that was an extraordinary proportion of the budget at the time. It was Odenkirk, wearing his co-writer hat, who had helped negotiate the number up. He then conveniently became the director who worked under those constraints. Co-star Simon Callow later said Carrey believed the studio, having committed so much money to his fee, was then cutting corners on everything else: props, space, schedule. Callow's description of the general atmosphere on set was somewhat strained. The production bent its entire financial architecture around one person, and apparently everyone felt it.
I think this joke has run its course, don't you? Certainly. I prostrate myself before you and beg your forgiveness. Oh, now don't get me wrong.
Number 14. While shooting this film, Carrey was simultaneously being pulled away to promote Batman Forever, in which he played the Riddler, and he was also repeatedly absent due to illness. The production fell approximately 6 weeks behind schedule. The delays were severe enough and consistent enough that the crew developed a sarcastic working title for the movie they were technically making: Ace Ventura Forever. By several accounts, Carrey was struggling significantly during this period. The sudden scale of his fame, the first Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, had all released within roughly 12 months of each other, was not something he had found easy to process. He was working on multiple massive projects at once, dealing with public scrutiny at a level he hadn't experienced before, and trying to hit a hard Christmas season release date on a production that was already weeks behind. The nickname was funny. The situation underneath it apparently wasn't.
If you are the slime behind this little flim-flam, why?
Oh, what?
Did you hire me?
Number 13. Because Carrey's illnesses were classified in his contract as acts of God, the production overruns those absences created no financial obligation to compensate anyone else for the delays. Simon Callow, who plays the villain Cadby, had his own contract expire before his scenes were finished. The production flew him back and forth between the shoot and a London commitment in first class, and then quietly deducted the airfare from his salary. When he broke off an Italian holiday to shoot an additional scene, he was never reimbursed for that either. Callow later calculated that he had earned less from this hit movie than he had from a single episode of the television drama Inspector Morse. His characterization of the set atmosphere was somewhat strained, which in the memoir of a classically trained British stage actor translates to something considerably more pointed. The star's Act of God clause was legally airtight and financially ruinous for everyone downstream of it.
Oh, you, pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, we love you. And our pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang loves us too. Hi, everywhere we go on chitty chitty weedy pan.
Number 12. During the Jeep ride to the consulate, Ace suddenly launches into the theme from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That is not what the scene was supposed to contain. Carrey had simply blanked on his actual line for the take and covered by breaking into the song. The co-star held character without cracking. The take was usable. Odenkirk liked the accident enough to keep it in the final cut, which is a clean illustration of the philosophy that got him the directing job in the first place. The entire production was built around the principle that if Carrey did something spontaneous and it was funny, you kept it. The Chitty Chitty Bang Bang moment is the purest expression of that approach. A forgotten line became one of the film's more memorable gags because the director had the instinct to leave it in. Number 11. The tall, angular Australian actor playing Gaji, the tracker, is Bruce Spence. Spence was the gyro captain in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, and returned for Jedediah in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. He played the mouth of Sauron in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. He appeared as the train man in The Matrix Revolutions. He had a role in Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. This is a career built almost entirely inside genre franchises that matter enormously to their audiences. Spence has been in more significant science fiction and fantasy properties than most actors who are considerably more famous than he is. Nestled inside that resume, between the apocalyptic wastelands and the fantasy epics and the dystopian futures, is a small part in an Ace Ventura sequel. His face belongs to Mordor and the Thunderdome. His filmography also contains a bit role in a Jim Carrey comedy about a missing bat.
Detective.
Number 10. The film opens cold on Ace, failing to rescue a raccoon dangling off a mountain. It's constructed as a direct, specific parody of the opening sequence from the 1993 Sylvester Stallone thriller Cliffhanger, right down to the grip slipping and the animal falling. The joke is that the film announces itself immediately as a genre spoof before the actual plot begins. The British Board of Film Classification found the raccoon material sufficiently intense to require cuts for the film to receive a PG rating in the United Kingdom. Approximately 90 seconds, concentrated in the raccoon and opening mountain sequence, are missing from the British version of the movie. A parody of a Sylvester Stallone thriller was considered too disturbing for British children. The American cut, which is what most of the world has seen, includes the full sequence. Number 9. When Ace stares out the airplane window and insists there's something on the wing, the specific cadence he delivers it in is a direct impression of William Shatner. The reference is the classic Twilight Zone episode Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, in which a panicked passenger sees a gremlin on the plane's wing. That episode starred William Shatner. The film's own subtitle track identifies the delivery specifically as Carrey imitating Shatner. It's a precise reference hiding inside a broad moment. The joke works on two levels simultaneously, as a standalone bit of physical comedy and as a specific callback to a specific piece of television for anyone who recognizes the source. Most audiences caught the physical comedy and missed the Shatner impression underneath it, which is exactly how a layered joke in a broad comedy is supposed to work. It lands for everyone and lands harder for the people who know what they're looking at. Number 8. The pint-sized Wachutu warrior who systematically dismantles Ace in the Circle of Death fight scene is Tommy Davidson, who came up alongside Carrey on the sketch comedy show In Living Color. Casting a former castmate as the one person who physically defeats the protagonist is a specific kind of inside joke. The man who knew Carrey from before the fame is the man the film chose to make him look foolish in front of a crowd. The reveal at the end is the kicker. The same tiny warrior is identified as the Wachutu prince, the groom the princess marries to seal peace between the tribes. The character who outfought Ace and made him look ridiculous ends up in the royal wedding. Davidson plays the whole film in a role with almost no dialogue, does the physical comedy completely, and walks away with the princess. Not a bad outcome for a cameo built on an old friendship.
Ace, why you stopped? The Wachutu didn't take Chicago.
Number 7. Ace's extended meltdown sequence after the gender reveal, the scrubbing, the vomiting, the burning of clothes, is staged as a deliberate, specific parody of the 1992 drama The Crying Game. The film scores it with Boy George's version of the song The Crying Game playing underneath. The needle drop is not incidental background music, it's the structural point. This entire sequence is a genre parody as much as it's shock comedy. Most audiences remember this scene purely as gross-out humor and have never connected it to the specific film it's spoofing. The Crying Game reference was not a common cultural touchstone for the demographic watching Ace Ventura, which means the parody was mostly invisible to its primary audience. The Boy George track is what makes the film's intention explicit. The music announces the joke for anyone paying attention to the score, rather than the physical comedy on top of it.
Hey! Spike! Spike! Spike!
Number 6. The Wachati and Wachutu tribes are invented. Their languages are not pure invention. Viewers fluent in African languages have identified that the dialogue blends real isiXhosa, a South African Nguni language, with Igbo, which is spoken in southeastern Nigeria. Specific phrases used in the film check out as genuine. The phrase translated in the subtitles as white devil corresponds to actual Igbo. The word for bat is used correctly. This is a surprising layer of linguistic detail buried under a film whose humor operates at the level of giant sneeze gags and talking through walls. Someone on the production, at some stage of the script writing or dialect coaching process, chose to use real languages rather than genuine gibberish. Whether that was a creative choice, a research decision, or simply a dialect coach doing their job properly, the result is that the running translation joke has an additional layer of accuracy underneath the comedy that almost no one watching would have registered.
There's still one more thing I must do before I go.
Number 5. The Safari Club and consulate sets are decorated with mounted animal heads and taxidermy, intended to establish the villain's world as one built around killing things. None of the trophies are real. Steve Odekirk did not want actual taxidermy on the sets of a film whose hero is a man who has devoted his life to animal welfare. The production fabricated all of it. It's a quietly on-brand decision for the franchise. Ace Ventura's entire reason for existing is a devotion to animals that he treats as more important than human social convention. Using real trophies to dress the sets of his villain's world would have been a strange contradiction at the level of production design. Odekirk made the call, the prop department built the fakes, and the distinction is invisible on screen, which is the point. The film's ethical position and its visual presentation are in agreement.
Greenwall, hit the lights! The switch on the wall beside you! Go for it!
Number 4. The imposing actor playing Hitu, the security chief who arrests Ace in the third act, is Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje. This was one of his earliest film roles, 1995, the same year he appeared in Congo. He was a former model breaking into acting, with almost no major credits at the time. He went on to play Simon Adebisi in Oz, one of the defining performances of prestige cable television in the late 90s. He played Mr. Eko in Lost, he played Killer Croc in Suicide Squad. The man arresting Jim Carrey in an Ace Ventura sequel was in the early stages of building one of the more varied and respected careers in character acting of the following 2 decades. His face belongs to some of the most iconic villain and anti-hero roles of modern film and television. His earliest film credits include a bit part where he gets outrun by a man doing animal sounds.
Now, these two are Australians. The bald one is Mick Katie. The other is said to have been raised by Aborigines.
Number 3. Carrey has spoken critically about this film on the record. He objected to the portrayal of the African tribes as caricature. He also took issue with the mechanics of Ace's bat phobia. He felt it was a lazy storytelling device and would have preferred the character to be merely allergic to bats rather than terrified of them, in a way the film then resolves as emotional catharsis. His overall assessment of the experience of making it was negative. This was the last time Carrey made a direct sequel to one of his own films until Dumb and Dumber 2 in 2014, nearly 20 years. The studio made multiple attempts over those years to bring him back for a third Ace Ventura film. He consistently declined. The film that made a sequel's budget look achievable also made the star never want to attempt another one. Whatever combination of a difficult shoot, a creative result he was unhappy with, and personal feelings about the material it represented, the experience of making, When Nature Calls effectively closed the franchise.
They're in my hair! They're in my hair! Help me!
Number 2. When Ace first meets the peaceful Wachiti tribe during the solemn welcoming ceremony and disrupts the entire proceedings with an enormous sneeze that wasn't in the script, Carrey invented it during the take. The supporting cast performing the ceremony had to respond to it in real time. The camera was rolling, nobody broke, and it made the cut. This is representative of how large portions of the film were actually made. Odekirk's operating philosophy was to let Carrey freelance inside scenes and capture whatever emerged. The sneeze is the clearest single example of that approach, producing something the script didn't anticipate and the director kept anyway. A formal, tribal welcome interrupted by an unscripted bodily function is the kind of beat that either works immediately in the moment or doesn't, and in this case it worked, which is why Odekirk's instinct to roll the camera and keep shooting paid off.
You're not my brother.
For I am a master of disguises.
Number 1. Sophie Okonedo, the actress the studio didn't want, brought in as a replacement after the original casting fell through, went on to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for Hotel Rwanda in 2004. Less than a decade after, she was cast in a comedic seduction subplot in a Jim Carrey sequel because a supermodel didn't show up to rehearsals. She has since become one of the most respected performers of her generation adding Tony Award and Emmy recognition to the Oscar nomination. The career that required a studio to be overruled, a first-time director and a movie star to insist on their instinct, and a rejected supermodel to miss rehearsals is the career of one of the most acclaimed actresses working in British theater and film. The role in this movie was an early rung on a very long ladder. The studio wanted a name. They got someone who would eventually earn one.
Chicago!
20 facts about Ace Ventura. When nature calls. The director fired mid-shoot. The Oscar winner Carrey turned down. The co-star, who made less than an episode of Inspector Morse. And the unknown actress the studio didn't want, who ended up with an Academy Award nomination. If any of these changed how you see the film, drop it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.